Let's talk about a crime that's happening literally millions of times a day, sometimes right under our noses. I'm talking about computer fraud. It's a threat that's always changing, always getting smarter. So today, we're going to break down exactly how it works, and more importantly, how you can fight back.
You know exactly the one I mean, right? It just shows up in your inbox. It might look like it's from your bank, or maybe a store you shop at, but something about it just makes you pause. It's a feeling we've all had, and it's the perfect place for us to start.
And yeah, it usually looks something like this. See that panic-inducing language? That demand for you to click something right now? That's a classic phishing attempt. And believe me, it is just one tiny, tiny piece of the massive puzzle that is computer fraud.
All right, so if we're going to defend ourselves, we first have to understand the battlefield. Let's really pin down what computer fraud actually is and why our digital world has become the perfect hunting ground for it.
You know, at its core, fraud is one of the oldest crimes in the book. It's just deception for illegal gain. Simple. But when you throw technology into that mix, this age-old crime gets a seriously powerful and dangerous upgrade.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. See, computer fraud isn't just about using a computer to commit the crime. The definition is broader. It also includes how tech is used to investigate and prosecute it. Think about that for a second. The computer is the weapon, the vault, and the crime scene, all rolled into one.
It's a fair question, right? I mean, what is it about these incredible machines that makes them such perfect targets for criminals? Well, here's the great irony of the digital age. The very things that make computers so amazing for us, these massive databases, the ability to access anything from anywhere, programs that do the work for us, those are the exact same things that open the door for criminals. It's a perfect double-edged sword.
Okay, so now we understand the why. Let's take a little peek inside the criminal's playbook. We're going to look at the main ways that fraudsters manipulate these systems to get what they want.
First up, we've got input fraud. This is probably the most common and, honestly, the most straightforward way to do it. The key thing to get here is that you don't need to be some master hacker. All you have to do is mess with the data before it even gets into the computer. So, picture a cashier who rings up a $50 sale is just $10 and then pockets the $40 difference. That's input fraud. It's simple, and it's all about deception at the point of entry.
All right, next on the list is data fraud. Now, if input fraud is about messing with transactions, data fraud is about something else entirely, stealing the information itself.
Let's be real. In today's economy, data isn't just data, it's gold. So think about a disgruntled employee who decides to copy the entire customer database. We're talking names, addresses, credit card numbers, and then sells it on the dark web. The crazy part, the company might not even know the data's gone until their customers start reporting fraud. And finally, we have output fraud. This is where the criminals target the very end of the process, the final result. So whether it's a printed report or just numbers on a monitor, that final output can be stolen, forged, or just misused. A classic example? Someone creating fake financial reports to make a struggling company look incredibly profitable. Why? To trick investors into pouring money into what's actually a sinking ship. Okay, now for a few specific and honestly, brilliantly sneaky techniques. First is the salami technique. This is a wild one. A programmer writes a little bit of code that rounds down, say, every interest calculation to the nearest penny. Then it takes that tiny fraction of a cent and diverts it into their own secret account. Each slice is so thin, nobody notices, but when you do that millions of times, well, it adds up to a fortune.
And look at that, we've come full circle, right back to that sketchy email from the beginning. Phishing is all about deception. It's social engineering. Criminals create these fake emails and websites that look totally legit to try and trick you into handing over your passwords, your account numbers, your social security number, you name it.
You've definitely heard of this one, and it works just like the story from ancient Greece. A Trojan horse in the computer world is when a piece of malicious code is hidden inside something that looks totally harmless. So you downloaded free game or a cool new app, but secretly, you've also just installed code that's stealing your data or giving a hacker a back door into your system. Okay, I know, we've gone through the criminal's playbook and it can feel a little overwhelming, but here's the good news. There are concrete, really powerful strategies we can use to fight back. So let's talk about how to build our own digital fortress. The best way to think about prevention is as a three-part strategy.
First, you want to make it way harder for the criminals to even commit the fraud. Second, you want to get better at spotting it if it does happen. And third, you want to be able to reduce the damage if an attack actually succeeds.
So step 1 is all about playing offense. This means having strong rules in place, like making sure the person who approves payments can also be the person who writes the checks. It's about encrypting your data, so it's basically unreadable gibberish if it's stolen. And this is a big one, always keeping your software updated to patch those security holes. Look, you have to assume that eventually someone might get past your defenses. That's where detection comes in. You need a clear trail of who did what and when. Things like surprise audits are great because they can catch people off guard, and specialized software can spot weird patterns that a human being would almost certainly miss.
And finally, this is your damage control plan. It's all about accepting that a breach is possible and being ready for it. So that means having the right insurance. It means keeping backup copies of your important data somewhere safe and totally disconnected from your main network. And it means having a step-by-step plan for exactly what to do the moment you realize you've been hit.
So, we've seen the whole spectrum, haven't we? From a simple lie typed into a keyboard to malicious code hiding in plain sight. But we've also seen the blueprint for a really strong defense. And that leaves us with one last, kind of personal question. Now that you know the playbook, when you look at your own digital life, how strong are the walls of your fortress?